I couldn't resist. I had to cut it over not to forget. It is the Balrtimore Oct was in the camps. Chesshvan was a camp. Anybody that was I was born before anybody in this room, probably. I was born in 1922. And I lived through the Chesshvan, not there, but here, related. Abistala, Toyim Tam Given. Abistala. And my Rebbe, we were standing and talking with the Rebbe of Shleima Heiman, but man ham gesucht, geglaubt der Rebester was der Rebbe geraten wird geworden. And he was looking pensively into the window, and he said, wer weiß, wer hat gemacht besser? They zu mir. He wasn't sure that he got the better of the deal for coming. Heilige Yid, das ist again a Heilige Yid. The Balrtimore Oct, right at the beginning, they took the whole town and the whole neighborhood on a march. Janowska. There was a camp, Janowska. Galicia, though. One of the one Yid from the Balrtimore Oct town, the Bluzer apparently, he wasn't so frum. But there everybody was frum, there was nobody not frum. So he didn't budge from the Balrtimore Oct. So one of the first actions of the Nazis, Yamach Shimon, was to take the Yidden on a march on the way to the camp. There's so many Yidden, you can't take so many Yidden. So the Nazis, Yamach Shimon, dug a big pit, and a long pit, and everybody had to run and jump over the pit and land on the other side. If he fell in the pit, they shot him to death in the pit. So very few people were able to jump over the...
This is about half of the version of Harav Yitzchok. She was an old friend of Rav Feldman, your predecessor.
I knew your father a little bit.
Yeah.
I made it Yosef for everybody. So most people fell into the pit. This Yid from Balrtimore that wasn't so frum, but he didn't budge out of the Rebbe, the roof. The Rebbe, the Rebbe were lost, were finished. With the rest, the Rebbe still tells them they will make it. And they ran with all their might, and they landed on the other side of the pit. They didn't flood him. So the Rebbe looked at him and he said, Rebbe, I know how, ich weiß, wie ich bin Matzliach gewesen. Ich habe ungehalten the Rebbe's polish. I held on to the Rebbe's coattails. Aber wie hat der Rebbe das gemacht? hat der Rebbe gesagt, der Blues über Rav. I also hanged on to my father's and grandfather's coattails. You knew this story too? I'll tell you
He
those.
thought she was only another one before.
I can't teach him that. That's one story from the Blues of the Road. You have to hang on to the coattails of the previous generation. Of the previous generations. I hanged on to their coattails too, and they saved me. The other story he also knows. He knows everything.
Just about Plushev, not about anything else.
The other story is that way. I have two stories. One's about two Gedolim. One Gedolim knew how to keep quiet when you have to keep quiet. Not so easy to keep quiet when you have to keep quiet. It's easier to say something wrong then. And the other one knew how to talk when you weren't allowed to keep quiet. The second one, who knew how to talk when you're not allowed to keep quiet, was the Blues of a Rose. Fantastic story. True story. It's a frustrating story. The Schneier Kotler, the Chonel Brocha, lost a beloved son. And he was shattered. He loved his son on a shir. I believe every son on a shir. And when he was nifter, he was shattered. You could cut the anguish with a knife, it was so thick. There was a big room full of menachamim. And Reb Shneir sat like a ghost, and all of the menachamim sat like ghosts too, and they couldn't open their mouths. This went on for 15 minutes. Nobody said a word. Then the door, Monica, the Blues of a Rove, walked in. He sat down for a minute, two, and immediately after the he moves over to Reb Shneir after 2 minutes. And he says, Reb Shneir, ich will euch etwas sagen. Ich bin euch mit keiner Reb Shneir. Ihr habt verloren, der Eberster hat von euch zugenommen, aber liebten Kind. Aber ihr habt ein Käfer, wo ihr könnt gehen von Zeit zu Zeit und sich ausweinen. Ihr habt noch Kinder, Reb Shneir. Teure beliebte Kinder, was wollen auswachsen, gedäule, teure Vejiere. Ich, Reb Shneir, habe gehabt eine Tochter. Und sie hat gehabt einen Mann mit einem Kind. Für eine Stückenkäfer. Ich weiß doch nicht, wie auszuweinen. Ich bin geblieben mit Gur nicht, Reb Shneir. Ich bin ein Mekaner. And the anguish and the moroshchira evaporated from the room. And after the Shiva, Reb Shneir went to the Balrtimore Oct, and he told him, Balrtimore Oct, I have it. Ich muss das sagen, ihr habt mir geraten mit dem Leben. Gewend, als der Rabbeinu Shalom auf der Welt, der Rabbeinu Shalom für die Welt. Ich habe gemeint, die Welt hat sich geendigt, aber That's the story of a Yid who knew how and what to say when nobody else was able to open their mouth. Now I'll tell you a story, a converse story, about a Yid who knew when to keep quiet. Rebellion Lopian, Zichroine Levrocha, when he came to Yerushalayim, he was the Arshad and I went to him and begged him he should stay in Kamenetz. My wife would cook for him. She cooked 3 times a day. She brought him food. He lived in a room. We drawed water out of a boiler. They used to go in the Bukharim. So one of the first visits he made was to the Brisker Rov. The Brisker Rov motioned him to sit down. Everybody who knew the Brisker Rov, he wasn't the talkative type. He didn't have what to say, he kept quiet. And Rav Elia wasn't going to open his mouth until the Brisker Rov spoke for him. His Yiras HaKovet for Talmud Chacham was awesome. The Brisker Rov sat, didn't say a word, and Rav Elia sat with respect and with awe and didn't say a word. His first ain't Mr. Kubat.
TA doing Baltimore. TA
supposed to be Mommy Niger.
I was in
I'm a ton of same for you.
I'm very American.
After 10 minutes, Rav Elia saw that there was no talking going to be done. He respectfully, with the sitter, Miss Amos Chachonim, stood up, bowed, a guten Tag, and he left. As he was leaving the house, the Brisker Rov called over his children, and he told, guckt auf dem Yid, das hat gemeint the soil salant. When Rebellia came over to his vakante, they asked him, was hat gelernt heim bei der Brisker Rov? So he said, ich hab gelernt, dass man hat etwas zu sagen, schweigt nicht. So that's 2 important lessons that I'm teaching myself today. Not Chas v'Shalom, I'm teaching anybody else anything, except 3. 3 I can teach because they're close friends. I wasn't here anymore when the Rebbe of Reuven. First I was taken to learn by the Rebbe of Shleima, and later by the Rebbe of Reuven. When the Rebbe of Reuven was nifter, I wasn't here anymore. They tell a Maisa that happened, I don't know if it's true, but I imagine it's true, that by the hesped of Reuven, there were 2 main maspidim. Reb Aaron, he was the Rosh HaMadabrim B'chol Mochim, and Reb Yankiv. They're both my rabbis. No, Reb Aaron, I wasn't Zayda to be a Talmud. I wasn't a Talmud by any of them. But I learned, I sat by Reb Reuven and by Reb Shleima. Reb Aaron began, he was the first master. He got up, and the tears started flowing down his eyes. He tried to say something, he tried to begin the Hesped. He choked on the tears, he couldn't talk. He tried again, and choked again. He saw that it wasn't going to go, he sat down. Then Rav Yankiv got up and spoke. So Rav Yankiv, he was crying too. But he was better able to control his emotions. Aaron was a volcano. He couldn't always control his emotions. So Yankov was an Adam Godel Me'oid, that he could control his emotions better. Rabbi Yankov said, wird sich wundern, vor was der Rosh Yeshiva kennet reden. Will ich euch erzählen. Wir sind alle Minsker. Rabbi Yankiv, Rabbi Aaron, Rabbi Reuven, Rabbi Ruderman, and many, many others were from the city of Minsk. The only one who was a Ben Torah in Minsk was Reb Reuven ben Reb Shamshi. Reb Reuven's father was the Dayan in Minsk, Shamshi. Shamshi told me sometime he was the son of Reb Reuven. He was born the same day that I was born. We were close friends. In Lakewood there in the old age home. And nobody was on the way to yeshiva. Nobody. Everybody was on the way to Haskola. Haskola was ruining the door. In Minsk, Reb Aaron came from a Chesshvan family. Reb Yankiv came from a Chesshvan Rabbanim. Reb Aaron had a sister who was a big marshai. She was an apikoidist. She was a professor of mathematics in the university. And her dream was that Reb Aaron would also become a professor of mathematics. And when Reb Reuven tried to take him to Slobodka for a half a year, so she made a world war. She wouldn't let him go. And finally, with Chochmas, his Reb Reuven he outsmarted her. And then the altar told Reb Reuven was the oldest bocher there. He was 2 years older than all the others. So he told Reb Reuven he would go to the post office to collect the mail, that he shouldn't give Reb Aaron the letters from her sister. He should intercept them and bring them to him, to the altar of Slobodka, Reb Hirsch. And Reb Aaron and Reb Reuven did it. He accomplished his mission. And after a year, Reb Aaron was already Reb Aaron. Reb Hirsch called him in and took a stack of letters like this. He said, "Nah, it's the Kenneth they're getting." And he gave him the whole stack unopened. And then Reb Aaron became the Gadol Adar. So the message is, everybody can create Gedolim on a shir. But you have to want to do it. You have to have the chokhmah and the desire and the gumption. Mainly the gumption. I don't know what it means either. everybody knows how to use it. The person that told it to me said it as a little bit facetious. It's not such a serious, it's not a word, it's a verb. How would you explain a verb in English?
Anecdote. No, sorry.
The verb is as like, doesn't mean to you. It means for you. For your benefit. Du willst haben Toivotcha v'ha'anoscha is lech lecha me'artzach. Go away, lech. Go away. Distance yourself from Arthias. That means from being in America. America is a faithful place. Did you ever know that? Als hij is bezocht der heilige Mashgiach, Rav Chatzkel Levenstein. Rav Chatzkel did not permit any Talmud of his to remain in America. He said, wenn ich bin in Amerika a Tag, wer ich genizigt. So, it's not easy to pick up and go away. But you can go away from America and be in America. It's not a...
Call it basic
and you
English.
get... The Riker is that the Chaterul in Boich is the one that was taken, the Chaterul in Kop. America is artists. Everybody is interested in. Everybody means with a few exceptions, but only a few. Is interested in. First of all, you can't go through the streets. You want to be a Nerlicher Yid, you can't go through the streets. Rebbe Ber in Kamenetz didn't know the way from his home to the yeshiva. And when he went and he saw a woman coming from the other directions, he closed his eyes and the Talmidim had to... He was crazy a little bit, Rebbe Ber, yeah? I'll tell you a story about it.
This is Rabbi Aaron Katz. He's the head of the Bika Chayla. He's taking care of your Anakel, the apartment, everything. He's the Nasi.
Thank you, Ben. I'm grateful to you.
This is his son, Nissan.
Just by mitzvah.
Just by mitzvah.
Lebedekanais.
He's a your Anakel over Moshe Feinstein because he's married to
Hashem should bench you. You should become happy all your life.
Amen. Yes.
That's too late.
Like you Ben.
Rebellion Moshe Shiskal is his Elter Zayda. Rebellion